The story begins in a laboratory when a scientist is observing a relic of the advanced ancient world called the Megiddo Flame. Major Hummingbat powers up the machine, causing a black hole to open up in the sky, which is when we are introduced to our main protagonist called Uomni, who is a Spriggan. Spriggans are special elite agents of the Arkham Corporation, whose mission is to seal away or destroy parts so that they cannot be used for evil goals. Who parts are ancient artifacts of great power. As panic ensues in the lab due to the force of the artifact, one of the scientists screams to shut it down. However, this causes the Major to begin slaughtering all the scientists except one, who he reveals to that the activation of the Megiddo Flame means that the Lord wishes for justice. Through hell, fire rained upon the earth. Out of nowhere, Amanaya appears in the facility and begins taking out the Major soldiers. He's just been informed that the Megiddo Flame is actually some kind of lens, which focuses the sun's rays at its focal point, meaning it's sunrise. The entire Earth will be in golden flames. With only 30 minutes until sunrise, Almania swiftly searches the facility until he encounters the Major, who introduces himself to him. He explains that being brought back to life with a mechanical body made him realize his purpose, which is to bring about the atonement of all mankind. After Almania orders the Major to hand over the Megiddo Flame, he uses his ultrasonic waves, which begin pulverizing Almania's brain. Just when it looks like the Major is going to beat Amani, he breaks the window, which blinds the Major briefly, giving Amanaya a small window to attack. After an epic combo of punches, the Major is defeated, and the Megiddo Flame shuts down, as it is perfectly in sync with the Major's mind. Surprisingly, the Major commends Amanil on his quick thinking and legendary attack, and it's at this moment soldiers from the Arkham Corporation appear. We are then informed by the narrator that this single plate carries a warning to us in the present an advanced ancient civilization that grew to advanced and was destroyed. Their messages protect our heritage from the wicked crossing. In this message, one organization strives to keep the advanced civilization sealed away, the Spriggans. We are then introduced to a childhood friend of Almanias called Rumabishi, who is a professor. She just arrived back in Japan after 10 years. And while on her laptop at the airport, she is approached by a man who tells her he's been asked to collect her from the Arkham laboratory. While being escorted Yamabi, she receives a phone call from Arkham, informing her that the person they sent to get her is running late and should be there soon. After putting two and two together, a man presses a gun into her back, saying that if she makes a sound, he will shoot. The kidnappers put Yamabishi in the car and attempt to make their way out, but Amanaya appears out of nowhere to confront them. He approaches the passenger side, but gets shot and falls to the ground. However, it turns out he faked being hurt and beats up both of the kidnappers to save Yamabishi, who has no idea who he is just yet. After they leave, we see a mysterious man with a monster hand, who we'll meet again a little later. While they're driving, Yamabishi asks Amania why those men were after her, to which he explains that they think she is the second coming of Champalion, a genius decipher and linguistic. After finally arriving at the hotel, Yambishi meets Director Yamamoto, head of the Arkham Japanese branch. It is revealed that Yambishi asked for a background check on Amanaya to locate his whereabouts. However, nothing could be found. While in her room, he suddenly appears on the balcony and asks why she's so hung up on finding this Uwami guy, to which she explains that she has nobody in Japan, as she lost her parents when she was young. However, in the orphanage she grew up in, a boy called Umanaya was always there, keeping her going, which saved her life. Later, Director Yamamoto asks Yamabishi to decipher a new form of god characters that were discovered in the Fuji ruins, and seeing as the United States is after them, they must be very valuable. When returning to her room, she notices the door is open, and inside is a fully armored soldier who chases her. Yamabishi reaches the lobby, however, she runs into another soldier. Just as she's about to be caught, she screams out Omania's name, and luckily, he appears to take them out in spectacular fashion. However, she still doesn't know that the Amanaya she grew up with. A few moments later, more American mech infantry appear, so Amanaya makes an epic transformation into his high-tech, armored muscle suit. After defeating all the soldiers, the man appears, who we saw earlier, at the airport. He introduces himself as Koichi Muroha of the SVR Far East Division, and demands that Arkham cease interfering with the Shrine of Fire. After a brief fight, Koichi declares the professor will soon his, and leaves as Omani's muscle suit counters his abilities all too well. The following day, Amanaya escorts Himabishi in a helicopter to the Fuji ruins. However, mid-flight, the chopper is struck by a missile. Almandai grabs Yamabishi and parachutes out the door. At that moment, it is revealed that Koichi is behind the attack. In the woods, Yamanbishi breaks down and asks why people are killing each other over some ancient ruins, to which Amani explains that whoever controls the ruins can control the world. After reading the single plate from earlier, Yamabishi comes to understand the importance of the Spriggans, who guard the ancient civilization from anyone who intends to use it for evil. While Yamabishi hides, Amani takes out a few soldiers, when suddenly he's attacked by a huge guy called Victor Stalov, the leader of the airborne troops Spetsnaz Bullets. have no effect on him, making him extremely overpowered, to the point Amane is even startled. Victor states that until his comrades get Professor Yamabishi, he will be looking after him. An epic battle ensues, which Amanaya seems to dominate. However, Victor reveals that, thanks to brain surgery and the little DNA modification, he's able to heal 10x faster. To which Amania called him nothing but a junkie high on science, and finally manages to defeat him. Meanwhile, Yamabishi is found by Koichi, who takes her to the Shrine of Fire, commanding her to decipher this message for him and let the flame serpent rise. Koichi then reveals that SVR was just a cover-up to get him here, and that he is the descendant of a family that has served as the priest of the Shrine of Fire for generations, tasked to control the volcanic activities of Mount Fuji. Now Koichi wants to free the flame serpent, the source of that power. He explains that by deciphering these characters, he can bend the flame serpent to his will. Yamabishi refuses to give Koichi power over the ruins, to which he reveals that if he breaks the ice below, then the flame serpent will break free and rise to the surface of the earth, turning all things to ash, including her and you all. Mania Yamabi. She becomes confused. However, Koichi rhetorically asks how she didn't realize he's been with her the whole time, informing her that Amanaya is one of Arkham's S-rank special operatives known as a Spriggan. Yambeshi then realizes he really is the Yuanmanai as she's been searching for, and can't believe she didn't know until now. Koichi then gives her an ultimatum: decipher the old writing now, unless she wants Amanaya to die. In the woods, Almania notices an eruption at the ruins, and the flame serpent is revealed. When Almanaya arrives at the sign, Koichi proudly proclaims his victory, while she tells Almanaya that it's a trap, and to get out of there. Koichi then begins attacking Amani with the Scarlet blade, which can easily cut through any material in the world, including his muscle suit. Kish manages to slice Amanaya with his mighty sword, but before he can finish him, Victor comes out of nowhere, declaring that he won't let him have the ruins and conquer the world. However, Koichi manages to defeat him using his monster, and Koichi attempts to finish off Amanaya, but his attack is blocked by the ancient plate, which actually breaks the sword. In disbelief, Koichi is eventually defeated by Amanaya, and the flame serpent evaporates. The Amobeshi is also rescued. In the following days, Amanaya receives a letter from Yamabishi, who has returned to the US, thanking him for everything. Meanwhile, director Yamamoto wonders how the Fuji civilization ended up destroyed when they were so advanced. However, Omania says that even though our science can be pretty amazing, nothing can stand up against the power of nature apparently, not even a civilization of gods. In the coming days, Amanaya returns to school, but he just sleeps through all his classes. His teacher tries waking him up by screaming and throwing stuff at him, but he just catches it, making his teacher even more mad. After class, Omni gets a chewing out from a girl called Hatsuho Sasahara, older twin sister of Kigaho, who is the class president. She is angry due to his eternal truancy, but just as she's giving him a piece of her mind, Almandiah receives a notice from Arkham and leaves almost immediately. Hatsuho tries to prevent him from going, but we all know Omanai's way too advanced to be stopped by her. Director Yamamoto briefs Amanaya on his mission, explaining that Arkham has been doing a long-term survey of Mount Ararat with permission from the Turkish government there. They discovered the hull of a very old ship, which in fact turns out to be Noah's Ark from the Bible. Yamamoto then reveals a new message plate found just 2 weeks ago, embedded in the outer cladding of the ship, made from the same material as the ones found before. According to ancient Hebrew translators, the message says, Noah bestows grace upon all living things, and Noah brings destruction to all living things. Due to this message, Yamamoto believes Noah's Ark possesses two opposing powers, both grace and destruction, and therefore it could be dangerous depending on how it's used. Yamamoto's had several reports that the survey team, along with their base camp, has been under attack the last several days, holding them off by the skin of their teeth. Ominai's primary objective is to protect the members of that survey team, and to also seal away Noah's Ark. But if he can't, then he must destroy it all. Together, Almanaya finally arrives at Mount Ararat, where he is met by the Arkham survey team. Professor Meisel presents Amani with his Oraclecom fighting knife, crafted with a knuckle guard as requested. Oraclecom is a metal that hardens as pressures are applied to it, making the knife extremely powerful. He's also given a special set of arm pads. Inside is an ultra-high-performance motor capable of lifting the equivalent of 2 to 3 people. A few moments later, a warning plays, declaring that armed forces have been detected near the facility. Arkham soldiers begin dropping like flies to a machine platoon, revealing it's the United States trying to steal the Ark. When all hope seems lost for Arkham, Ominaya makes an epic entrance. The assassination squad know who Almania is, and declares that a relic with incredible power, like Noah's Ark, should be under America's control. Amani becomes enraged and armors up, using his agility to escape the rapid bullets of the death machine. He's then faced with lasers and a grenade launcher, but manages to outrun those two. Using a rope, he manages to disable one of the assassins briefly, but is apprehended by the other, and as it turns out, his body armor is made of work outcome too. When it looks like it's all over, a rocket comes out of nowhere, which saves Amanayat. is then revealed to be a spriggan of the French branch called Shenchakment. He scolds Almania and says that now 10 times you'd be dead without me. Sean asks how let this scum get the better of him, much to the assassin's dismay, causing another sequence of battle. One of the assassins can't believe Sean is keeping up with him as he's the fastest in the machiners platoon by a mile. Sean ends up defeating the assassin in amazing style, while Almania destroys the other. Sean scolds Amania once again for being soft, as he doesn't execute the assassin and instead wants to take him prisoner. Meanwhile, in the base of operations for the Americans that sent the machiners platoon, a mysterious young boy explains that even though Arkham has the key, they certainly won't have ascertained how to use it, and reveals that only with his power, along with the ancient writings of Noah, can one enter the Ark. Eventually he turns around and we discover his name is Colonel MacDougal. He discloses that the Pentagon has bestowed upon him the power of God. Not only that, but now with Noah, he's been given the chance to commune with the true God, and will kill anyone who dares to get in his way. Meanwhile, Amani and Sean are taken to Noah's Ark, where Professor Mysil says it appears they're still missing one of the pieces needed to awaken Noah in the control tower. One of the officers reports a heat source coming from somewhere, and it's revealed to be Colonel MacDougal himself. One of the assassins who was captured begins cackling. The guards ask why he's laughing, to which he says the boy with the power of the devil is here. Chaos erupts as the colonel storms through their base with his soldiers. He demands them to hand over the key to Noah's Ark. However, Amania appears and says there's no way they're handing it over. MacDougal then uses psychokinesis to kill Amania, but is impressed after he manages to survive it. A few moments later, Professor Mysil appears, stating that he will hand over the key, and in return, MacDougal shall spare the lives of everybody there. While Mysil takes MacDougal to the Ark, Sean then appears and is taken aback as the enemy has overrun the entire place. He does his best to take out all the soldiers, but ends up getting caught by surprise, taking a fatal shot to the back. As the assassin mocks Sean, and Omania, Sean unexpectedly comes back to life, but in a terrifying form. He takes many shots, but his wounds heal up almost instantly. Meanwhile, Amani is aided by a soldier who is shell-shocked by Sean's transformation. Almania then explains that Sean is a lycanthrope, which means when he sees his own blood, he turns into a beast, and when he's in this state, there's no stopping him until everything that moves has been slaughtered. On the other hand, MacDougal arrives at the Ark and uses the key to open it. Ecstatic, he explains that the Pentagon excavated a stone tablet that had been washed ashore, and written on that tablet was the way to operate the Ark. With this, one can alter the very cincture of the Earth, its atmosphere, and thus manipulate the composition of solar radiation, meaning Noah's Ark is a terraforming device. MacDougal's goal is to bring forth the next generation of life and cleanse the world of humanity, as even if they fix the Earth's problems, humanity would just repeat all the same mistakes. Mysil refuses to help MacDougal's mission, much to his disappointment. However, at that moment, Omina and Sean appear to stop him from carrying out his evil plan. MacDougal says they are welcome to try and stop him. Then destruction emerges as the Ark begins rising onto the Earth. MacDougal declares that now he will use Noah's power to raise the Earth's temperature, and then the second great flood shall begin. Amania tells Sean to take the professor's assistant to get medical attention, as he should make it in time with his speed. Meanwhile, he will take on Colonel MacDougal. Amania makes a smokescreen that unleashes a flurry of punches. However, there no uses. MacDougal activated his force field. The colonel then uses his psychokinesis to disable ammonia, and explains that even if he hadn't triggered the Ark sooner or later, humanity would have destroyed the Earth all by themselves anyway. Almana reveals he couldn't care less about the end of humanity, but he does care about his friends and allies. MacDougal articulates that such things do not exist in this era, to which Omania says that just means nobody likes you, making MacDougal extremely angry. He uses his psychokinesis on him once again, but accidentally used too much power. MacDougal declares that he is God, to which Omania says no, God was made by humans. You're just a fraud. MacDougal impulsively uses his psychokinesis, again weakening himself even more. Almand I have slowly rises and says to MacDougal that God is just an excuse people use to run away from their sins. You are no God, you're human, which means that the future of humanity will always be decided by us humans. This is words break MacDougal, and eventually Amania musters up the strength to defeat him once and for all, or so it seems. The Ark stops, and while Amani carries MacDougal on his shoulder, he uses his last ounce of psychokinesis to break free and attain the key to Noah's Ark. MacDougal reveals he just activated the Ark's self-destruct mode, so now time will return to the Ark and it'll be unable to sustain the form it's in. With this, Noah and himself shall disappear from this world forever, as MacDougal was created for the sole purpose of Noah. Without the Ark, he has no reason to exist before. MacDougal leaves for good. He surprisingly gives some words of empowerment, telling Amani to keep fighting this screwed up world with all his strength. The ground rumbles as the Ark fails to maintain its form in three-dimensional space, and eventually it will crumble to dust. Sean saves Amania once again, saying that if it weren't for me that's now 100 times you'd have died. Amanaya says to Sean that you were right, I am soft, to which Sean admits that this is something he actually likes about him. Together, they slide down the crumbling arc and eventually reunite with Professor Mysel along with the rest of the guys. Comment for part 2, and don't forget to drop a like and subscribe on your way out. Until next time, take care.